Hello, everybody out there. Ask me anything about becoming a Talk to the Entities facilitator. You have to move my hair so you can see this cool text at the bottom of the screen. Ask me anything about becoming a Talk to the Entities facilitator. We asked you guys to submit your questions. We got a ton of questions. So today I'm going to talk about everything required to become a Talk to the Entities facilitator, including some of the questions that you guys didn't ask. So let's jump right in. The biggest question that we got was about prerequisites. So first of all, we're going to pin a link to the chat below this Facebook video that will take you to a page that's got all of the prerequisites to becoming a Talk to the Entities facilitator. So don't worry if you can't remember the stuff that I've talked about today, because all of this exists online and it's easy for you to find it. We are also going to create a FAQ doc from this Facebook Live so that all of the questions and responses will be available for you guys to view as a PDF into the future for quick reference. So the first prerequisite for becoming a Talk to the Entities facilitator is actually not being afraid of entities. We actually got a couple questions saying, I'm afraid of entities. How could I become a facilitator? And I would say, as long as you are still afraid of the spirit world, probably being a Talk to the Entities facilitator isn't your best choice, because as a Talk to the Entities facilitator, you are actually literally interfacing with the spirit world, and it is a cooperation between you and the spirit world to create the business, to create the classes, to facilitate the classes. And if you're afraid of entities, you're going to be blocking them all out, and it just won't work. That being said, if you're still afraid of the spirit world, you probably need to do more Talk to the Entities beginning and advanced classes. See if you can't nip that in the butt, because fear is usually an avoidance of a potency. So that's prerequisite number one. You're no longer afraid of the spirit world. I'm actually going to look at the list myself so I make sure not to miss anything for you guys. So also I ask that you read both of the Talk to the Entities books, the first book, Talk to the Entities, and the Beings of Light book. Now, the Beings of Light book is not translated into any other language yet. There are languages in the works: French, Japanese, maybe Mandarin. I'm not sure on that. But so I understand that if the book isn't in your language, obviously you can't read it. I get that. And we want you guys to have read these books. It's information you're going to need as a facilitator. Prerequisite number 3, you have to do the Talk to the Entities. You have to do 3 of the what are called the Talk to the Entities specialty classes. Now, there are actually 12 Talk to the Entities specialty classes. If somebody could actually post a link as well for the Talk to the Entities specialty classes, so people who are curious, if you want to see all of those, so I don't just rattle them off to you guys so you don't get bored and lost with information, so you can actually see what all the Talk to the Entities specialties are. Lindsay, it can just be a page in the shop if we don't have another page for that somewhere. However, there's 12. I'm only asking and requiring you to have 3 of those as a facilitator. I do think, however, that you do need all this information. And that being said, this is a big commitment and a big choice to become a Talk to the Entities facilitator, to become an Access facilitator. And there's so much to learn and so much to digest. So what is it you require and can choose to make you the best facilitator and creator of consciousness? So the number 1 first Talk to the Entities specialty that I require you guys to have as facilitators is walk-ins. Now, walk-ins is an entity topic, but it is an extremely confusing one for most people. So it is important that you are quite versed and confident in the topic of walk-ins, because people tend to get extremely confused about it in classes and in general. So that is the first specialty you're going to require. The second specialty is communication with entities, communicating with entities. The third is house clearings from A to Z. So house clearings from A to Z is pretty straightforward. It's literally how to clear all sorts of different kinds of haunted houses, how to clear all different sorts of entity stuck situations from houses, buildings, land, cars, people, etc. So it's just like clearing, it's all the clearing information, questions, tools, information, and awareness that you need to really be effective in entity clearing, especially for houses, buildings, and land. So those are the 3 specialties that I ask you guys to have to become a Talk to the Entities facilitator. I hope you see the value in knowing that stuff. I did get another question asking if they can become a Talk to the Entities facilitator if they've done those specialties with another facilitator. So that's a no. So you have to do the specialty classes that I did. So you'll basically now be purchasing, if you're going to become a Talk to the Entities facilitator, you'll be purchasing walk-ins, purchasing communicating with entities, and purchasing house clearings from A to Z from the Talk to the Entity shop. And these are classes that I've done. It's nearly 6 hours of class audio accompanied with PDFs. A lot of the specialty classes that the facilitators are doing are introductions. So they're not the full class. That being said, you can do a lot of these specialty classes multiple times with multiple facilitators, and you will learn something different and gain a greater depth of knowledge, information, and capability every single time. So I hope you're not shying away from the big ask of creating yourself as a great facilitator of consciousness. So those specialties have to be the classes that I did. Okay, so that's the specialties. We're still in the prereqs. We're still talking about prereqs. Don't worry, you guys. If it's a lot of information and your head is swimming, just go ahead and click on the link below this Facebook Live video, and it will take you to the page talktotheentities.com/become a Talk to the Entities facilitator. Well, it's actually become-TTTE-facilitator. All the prereqs are listed there for you guys, both as first-time certification and renewing facilitators. So you can look at both. So let's carry on with the prerequisites. The next thing on the list is 2 Talk to the Entities beginning classes. So one of those Talk to the Entities beginning classes does have to be with me, and the second one can be with me, or it can be with any other Talk to the Entities facilitator. Also, one of those beginning classes has to be the new beginning. I just did the Talk to Entities new beginning class in, when was that? January, maybe? So I completely rewrote the manual. Well, we completely rewrote the manual, updated it. There's a brand new Talk to the Entities beginning manual that I am so proud of. I think it is so awesome. It is the easy breezy how-to for everything you need to know how to deal with the spirit world. It is practical and beautiful and full of incredible insight, information, clearings, and processes to assist everyone in accessing more awareness with more ease. So the new beginning is a prerequisite and a requirement for you to certify this year as a facilitator, okay? Because you're going to need to know that class, you're going to need to know that manual, okay? So 2 beginning classes, one of them must be the new beginning class, and one of them also must be with me. That can break down in any creative way you'd like. It can be online, it can be live. You can purchase the new beginning class in the shop. It can occur in a lot of different ways. If you don't want to if you've already done a beginning class with me like 3 years ago or something, and you want to do the new beginning class with another facilitator, do that, okay? So that's the 2 beginning classes. One must be with me and one must be the new beginning. Cool. Next thing on the prerequisite list, the business of succeeding 3-part introductory. So I did a business of succeeding class a couple of years ago, actually now, and it was a large year-long course, but I did a 3-call introduction, and that's all I'm asking you guys to get, because in truth, facilitators class is a class, yes, about magic, and it is about increasing your awareness, your ability, your capacity to perceive, to be aware, to facilitate the spirit world, to receive greater. but it is also a class about growing your own facilitation business. And Talk to the Entities is an accredited subsidiary of Access Consciousness. And to interface with the material, the resource, the product of Access / Talk to the Entities is like working with a very powerful, very dynamic resource that you might not have a lot of points of reference for. And so the business of succeeding 3-call introduction really opens the door and creates a lot more awareness and connection to the energies, the attitudes, the information, the actions that yield with an access consciousness business and succeeding facilitating and working with the product and resource of access and consciousness. So that's another part of the prerequisites. That's a business prerequisite for you guys, okay? Because what I've noticed over the years is so many amazing people come to Talk to Entities because they love the magic. So many people come to Access because they love the magic, but they don't love business. And I take it very literally as a facilitator. Probably I need to change this point of view, but I actually do desire for you to succeed. And that means desire to succeed as you desire to succeed, not succeed based on this reality standards of success, but like, what is it you desire to succeed with? Why do you want to become a Talk to the Entities facilitator? What is it you know is possible? What is it you'd like to create? So the business of succeeding is the components for that, for you. Okay, so that is on the prereq list for you guys. The advanced class that immediately precedes facilitators every year is now a prerequisite. So essentially the summit, so we call it the Talk to the Entities Annual Summit. Every year it's a advanced class followed by the facilitators class. Last year it was a requirement for that advanced. Basically facilitators every year is 6 days. It's not really 6 days, sorry. It breaks down into different time portions, but it's advanced and facilitators, they go together, and that's the facilitators class every year. You can attend the turbo advanced before facilitators and not come to facilitators class, of course. Sorry, I wonder if you guys can hear can they hear my earrings? These earrings make noise because they move and I can hear it, and I hope you guys can't hear it in my headphones. These are my new Tiffany earrings, guys. Aren't they awesome? I just got them. So the turbo advanced that immediately precedes facilitators is a requirement to attend that facilitators class. So it's essentially a deep immersion of about 6.5 days for you guys to certify as a Talk to the Entities facilitator annually. That's also to renew. So all the renewing, so all of the current Talk to the Entities facilitators that will be renewing will be present throughout those whole 6.5 days as well. So it's a very powerful event. So it's the Turbo Advanced, that's a prerequisite right before facilitators to attend facilitators. And then of course, facilitators training. I think that one's obvious. In addition to having to do with Talk to the Entities, and that's actually the end of the Talk to the Entities requirement list, to become a certified Talk to the Entities introduction and beginning facilitator, you also must be an Access Consciousness CF. So it's sort of like the Access Consciousness CF sort of starts here, and then we genesis everything down for Talk to the Entities. That being said, you can become a Talk to the Entities introduction facilitator if you have not become an Access CF or if you don't plan to be an Access CF. So you can still be a Talk to the Entities introduction facilitator without being a Access certified facilitator. As a Talk to the Entities beginning facilitator, you can facilitate the beginning class, and that's a 2-hour class, and that's it. To facilitate all the specialties and the big beginning class, you have to be an Access Consciousness certified facilitator in addition to being a Talk to the Entities certified facilitator. All of that information is listed on this talktotheentities.com/become-TTTE-facilitator link page, which should be in now the chat for this Facebook Live for you guys down below. There's also information about renewing your certification on that page. I'm not going to go into that because actually no one really asked. And I think most of the current facilitators already know that information. So that is also on that page if you wish to know that stuff too. Oh, look, I like how my screen changed. Thanks, Angel. I know I have another. Ask me anything about becoming a Talk to the Entities facilitator. So please know that those are the prerequisites this year. I would love, if you're going to become a facilitator this year for the first time anew, start now. Really start looking and listening to these classes, participating, digesting the content, learning this stuff for yourself. A lot of people humanoid a clock, they decide right before class, and in truth, you won't have the space to really learn this stuff if you don't start now. It's rich content and it adjusts so much of the way that you perceive reality that I would love for you to have the space required for you to actually know this stuff and know how to use it. So those are prerequisites. Choose what you will when you will. And obviously being an Access CF has a whole other massive list of stuff. But this year, if you want to become a facilitator, you should, because this list of prerequisites will probably increase by next year. And yeah, the other funny thing too is the price for facilitators has only gone up $10 this year. I don't know if I'll be so generous next year. So just be aware that this does evolve, things grow and change. If you want to do this, be aware that the prerequisites will only increase and the price will also increase moving forward. Your choice. All right, prerequisites, there we go. Now, I also got this question, where should I start? Which is I thought was a really interesting one because where do any of us start? If we're talking about facilitating Talk to the Entities specifically, start with studying Access. Start with Access. Start with the foundation. Start with COP. Start with certification for Access facilitators. The reason why Access certified facilitators is a prerequisite for Talk to the Entities full beginning facilitation is because there's so much that goes into becoming an Access facilitator. And then if you have done all that it takes to become an Access facilitator, you have access to a lot of being, a lot more awareness about transforming energies. It's amazing. So start with Access. It's like if Talk to the Entities is not within reach this year because of prerequisites or the timing or the money or the energy or whatever it is for you, like, don't worry. Like, Talk to the Entities and Access is only getting bigger. I'm not going away. Talk to the Entities isn't going away. It's only going to get greater and more substantial. And I would love to have you when it works for you and when you can. Okay, so where to start? Start with Access. Start with your foundation manual. Start with perceiving, knowing, being, and receiving. Being you. Okay. Okay. This is an interesting question. What's the difference between being a facilitator and trained to teach others to be a facilitator? So I think that's what's the difference between being a facilitator and then or facilitating the facilitators to training the facilitators to being facilitators. I think that's what that question is. I think you're just talking about me basically, because I train all the facilitators, although I don't really more train them. I more sort of like torture them and empower them. The difference is that I have a lot of experience and I created Talk to the Entities and I facilitated for a decade before there were any other facilitators. And a lot of the Talk to the Entities facilitator class too, it is a lot about, yes, talking about like, how do we facilitate certain stuff in a Talk to the Entities class? Because Talk to the Entities does have a very specific thing that it does where the spirit world shows up. And so I teach you guys a lot about like how to work with that in a clean, conscious way in classes, how to deal with stuff that shows up, how to empower people rather than be a creepy guru that the spirit world content has been used for so many lifetimes to be like disempowering to others. So there's a lot of that about that. And then there's a lot of talking about the administration of Talk to the Entities. How do you interface with the business of Talk to the Entities? Because essentially you are becoming a independent contractor of Talk to the Entities, and you need to know what is asked of you and what is required for you to be an independent contractor, a facilitator of Talk to the Entities. So there's a lot of business conversation. So it's a very holistic class, okay? How much does it cost? That is a super good question. I actually don't know off the top of my head. I'm gonna look for you.
Depending on what country.
Yeah, it depends on what country. Access, so Talk to the Entities Facilitators class follows access country pricing. I have a feeling people are putting the information about, Lindsay or Angelique are putting information about pricing down in the chat of the, below this Facebook Live for you guys, because they're amazing. But the price is different based on your access country pricing. So, okay, I'm looking at the event right now. I mean, you should just look at the event also too, guys. So the full price of the class this year for Turbo Advanced and Facilitators together is $4,005. Oh, $4,560. The repeat price is $4,005. Now, what repeat price means is if you're repeating advanced. There is no repeat pricing on facilitators class. It's always the same price every year. Oh, well, this year is $10 more than last year. Advanced has a repeat price. So just Talk to the Entities beginning. So if you've done the advanced within 12 months, the repeat price is 70% of the original price. So if you did advanced last year and you want to come and do the Turbo Advanced this year, it's 70% of your country pricing. Okay. And I don't want to get too into the country pricing because it might confuse people. But essentially you can just please have a look on the registration page, which will be, the link will be posted in the chat below, and all that information is there. Your country pricing you'll have to register, and then the website will show you what your country pricing is based on some weird technical magic that happens in the back end of the website. But you do have to register first. So just register. Don't worry, registering isn't going to like lock you in, but register. It'll also, once you register, it'll give you your country pricing. But you know what also happens when you register is then you can do the payment plans, because I got sent in a question of, can I do like installments for this class? You absolutely can. We've got it all set up for you guys that you, no matter what your country pricing is, you can do a payment plan. I'm not going to rattle off all the information about the payment plan right now because it will not be clear for you guys, because there are variations based on country pricing. But I'm going to, Lindsay, can you put that text that you wrote me in Slack? Can you put that in the chat for everybody too? This will give you guys some information out there on the payment plans if you want them. Okay, so we've created that for you guys to make it easier for all of you. All right, so that's payment plan, that's cost. And also too, you guys, with cost, like, I don't know, usually stuff comes up for people around money. And I get that. And if you have the point of view that it's too much money or you can't afford it, that's exactly what will occur. If you start asking, what's it going to take to afford this? What's it going to take to pay for this with ease? Help me talk to the entities. I wonder what can show up for you guys. I love this question. Can you make a living out of being a Talk to the Entities facilitator? Yeah, definitely. There are very, very, very many facilitators making a very good living out of Talk to the Entities, myself included. I don't know if adding me to the list is fair, but yes, I mean, I am making a very good living by being a Talk to the Entities facilitator. And there are other facilitators who make a ton of money, but I have to add something about that. They're also good at business, okay? So it's not just, it's the two have to go together. It's sort of like the magic of Talk to entities and access consciousness and perceiving, knowing, being, and receiving has to be combined with some business acumen. And then yes, absolutely. And when I say business acumen, I don't mean like normal business or being right in business, because like, trust me, a lot of the facilitators that are yielding a lot financially are doing it all very different. They all are unique in the way in which they create. And that's what matters, that you're creating in a way that is your way. So yeah, yes, it is absolutely possible to make a living being a Talk to the Entities facilitator. That I feel like is a massive question that could segue into a million other questions, but essentially, yes, you can make a great living being an access facilitator or Talk to the Entities facilitator, 100%. All right, here's another question. In Mexico, how many Talk to the Entities facilitators are there? There are 8 current certified Talk to the Entities certified facilitators. 3 of them technically have their addresses in the US, but they're Mexican and they facilitate in Mexican Spanish and they facilitate a lot in Mexico. So essentially there's 8 Mexican facilitators. There you go, Mexico. Get to work. Okay. There was a lot of other questions that came in that were more about like, there weren't about facilitators class, they're more about like, can entities harm you? Which I feel is a beginning question that should be addressed in introduction or Talk to Entities beginning class. So just be aware that there are questions that I won't necessarily address because they're not about becoming a facilitator. And again, if you are still afraid of spirits or think that entities can hurt you, facilitators class is probably, you need to start somewhere else, like at introduction. All right. I'm just looking at the other questions. Okay, answered that. I've already done the Talk to the Entities Advanced class in January, because I did one in January, just this January. Should I do the Talk to the Entities Advanced Turbo before the Talk to the Entities Facilitators class? Yes. If you want to come to Facilitators class, you have to join the Turbo Advanced. And remember, you get repeat pricing on that, okay? Plus, it's this interesting thing that comes up for me a lot because I understand like the time and the financial demand that a lot of this stuff is. And I'm not doing this to make this financially difficult. Like that's the thing that's really tricky because I get that this does cost money and I get that this is a big time and energy and financial commitment to do this stuff. And I try to make it as easy and affordable as possible and still be able to run Talk to the Entities and move forward. So it's like, that's why we have the repeat pricing. That's why we have country pricing. Yeah. I hope the money isn't too much of a conflict for you guys. What would it take for it to all be easy? And what would it take for you to have everything that you desire in life with ease? And what if money wasn't the issue? Okay. So yes, to attend facilitators, you must attend the Turbo Advanced, then immediately proceeds. You will fucking love it and you will learn so much stuff, different stuff, always. Okay, sorry, I'm just reading through the questions again, guys. Okay, what I would like to ask is if after completing the course, I think she's meaning facilitators class, I will be able to create a 1-hour telecall or Zoom regarding Talk to the Entity series. Then she says, I'm not a CF. All right, so I'm not sure I'm understanding that question totally, but whoever's working on the question doc, by the way, right now, could you stop? Because stuff's moving around and I had it organized and now it's like changed. So maybe just stop working on the question doc, guys. So as a Talk to the Entities introduction or beginning facilitator, yes, you can do 1-hour online free introduction classes. Or not, sorry, they're not introductions, they're tasters. As a non-Talk to the Entities facilitator or access facilitator, no, you can't use the tools of Talk to the Entities. Am I getting that? I'm not sure. I'm not totally sure I'm understanding the question, but yeah. So as a certified facilitator, yes. As a non-certified facilitator, no. But if you do the Talk to the Entities beginning class, then yes, you can do online 1 hour tasters, free online 1 hour tasters. Okay. Just looking through the questions more, you guys. Yes, if you're not an Access certified facilitator, you can attend the summit, but you have to have done through, there are still prerequisites to attend the summit if you're not an Access CF, and I'm not totally sure where those are written down. Sorry, let me go. Actually, I might need to make that more clear. So yeah, you can attend the summit, but you obviously will not become a certified beginning facilitator. You'll just be an introduction facilitator. And I think you have to have done through Access COP and ESB. But let me just, yeah, I'm stating that now. So in order to attend the summit, you have to have done a COP within 16, what's a year and a half? How many? 18 months, and ESB within 18 months. Okay. If you're not a certified facilitator, because if you are a certified Access facilitator, you already have that stuff under your belt. But if you're not, yes, you can still attend the summit, but you have to have through COP and ESB within 18 months. Okay, I hope I got to everything. I feel like I did. I'm wondering if I'm missing anything because actually, there's one other question I wanted to address. Yeah, there's interesting, I'm not actually understanding these questions totally. Some of them are translated, so I apologize. They've sort of, maybe you're getting lost in translation a little bit, but it's like, okay, let me just read this. With the Talk to the Entities certificate TTTE beginning, I would like to know what are the possibilities that I can do a Facebook Live. I think that's what she's saying, in order to talk a little about the Talk to the Entities sessions. Yeah, again, yes, of course. If you're a facilitator, you can do those tastes of Talk to the Entities. Yeah, okay. I feel like I'm missing something. This is also tricky because it's like a one-way street. I can't see you guys or hear you guys. I'm just reading the questions and giving you information. So I apologize if I've missed any of your questions and curiosities. I think I've covered most of the questions on the list. A lot of the questions repeat. So I think that I've gotten all the general big ones. Yeah. And again, there was a lot of questions that were sent in about like, how do I recognize and acknowledge my ability and potency about entities? So that's a question that belongs in a beginning class. And again, it's like, oh, actually, there was one thing in here that I wanted to address about becoming a facilitator. Sorry, let me find it. This. I thought this was interesting. I myself am unable to comprehend or cognitively get what information or awareness they give. I would assume she means entities. How can I be facilitating others? Hopefully by the time you got to facilitators class, you would have a lot more cognition. I think actually this is tricky because I would need to ask this question or some questions like, has she even done a beginning class? I think like we don't even know that information. So that being said, like just in general, like your doubts about your ability, your all that stuff. I mean, I started facilitating Talk to the Entities when I had so many doubts in myself. I like really was not confident and clear. And I did it, and I facilitated. The thing about facilitating access, which is what Talk to the Entities is, it's an access consciousness class on the topic of the spirit world, empowering people to know that they know. It's, as a facilitator, you are not the source of the other person's awareness. You are not there to give answers. You are not there to be a guru. You are there to ask questions. What energy, space, consciousness, magic, miracle, mystery, and possibility can you and your body be to contribute to the consciousness in the world? Whatever that looks like and whatever it takes. And I would say that having a lot of self-doubts and not being totally clear in your own world is not a prerequisite for facilitating access or talk to the entities, because you learn a ton yourself when you facilitate, and that's true. However, being afraid of entities is different. I do not recommend that. You will destroy your business if you're afraid of entities, because a talk to the entities business includes the spirit world, full stop. That being said, you don't have to be like, I don't know, can you ever be perfect? Can you ever be complete? Can you ever be totally done learning? I mean, I'm still learning constantly when I facilitate. So, you know, you have to give yourself some space to work stuff out. Being totally clear, concise, and complete in your own world about everything you're perceiving is not a prerequisite for becoming a facilitator. Being able to be in the question, trust in your own awareness, that's a much bigger, something I would ask, that you trust your awareness. Because when you're dealing with this content, this is not normal content. It's not like we're going to accounting school. We're dealing with the spirit world, and it's so different for all of us. The way we perceive your muscles for acknowledgement and perception and claiming and owning what you know are, in most people, totally atrophied. And that's why you have to start at the beginning class. You know, it's like you've got to do these classes to get yourself in shape for perceiving, for trusting your awareness, and then knowing and learning the tools to deal with spirits, how they show up and when they show up, because they do show up. The spirit world is a part of our world. For some of us, way more than others. And yeah, you know, it's like you being totally clear will come when it comes to you. So, okay, there's a lot of information for you guys today. Remember, we're going to create a frequently asked doc from this Facebook Live for you guys with questions that were asked and all the information to create more clarity. I am extremely honored that you're here, that you are interested, and that Talk to the Entities gets to be a source in the world. I look forward to working with those of you who seek to change the way that people function with the spirit world. Right now, the way that people function with the spirit world on a whole in the world is very archaic and leads to a lot of problems that don't need to exist. It can be Easter and glory. It can be an incredible contribution and a facilitation of greater possibility and true magic. So if you found me, congratulations. If you're reaching for more from Talk to the Entities, we are here for you. If you are choosing more Access Consciousness, yay, how does it get better than this? I know it's a lot of information and a lot of details. If you have any other questions, please send an email to info@talktotheentities.com, and the ladies there will do their best to take care of you and to assist you with getting what you need to start your career as Access Consciousness and specifically a Talk to the Entities facilitator. Thanks, guys. Bye.